All right, guys. So I'm here with Lynn. I'm gonna let Lynn introduce herself in just a minute and just some of the topics that she is kind of an expert in, and some different talks and books that she's been able to written on, like just the whole general topic of health. But first of all, Lynn, I'm so glad that you're taking 30 minutes of your time to kind of talk with us. I've met Lynn, like I've met most of you guys that I'm doing these interviews with, as a guest that comes into the store. So when I see people who are repeat guests and they're using, the organic aspect of eating to bring it into different aspects of health, I get very curious. She's drinking her sweet green right now. So we've had the opportunity to have Lynn come do some talks. I've been able to go to her apartment when she's had like events as well. So we've had like a really great relationship. So she is going to take it over for now and just kind of tell us a little bit about her, and then we'll be able to get into some Q&A with her as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole, for having me on. This is a treat. And yeah, I have my clean juice right over here. I love the sweet greens. I love the new one with the elderberry.
Mhm.
And one of my favorites is the lemon with the cayenne. Oh
Yep.
my God. Yeah, so good. So anyway, yeah. I am Lynn DelGaudio. I'm a recovering banker and an integrative health and I call mind style coach. So I'm very interested in getting this straight to really work out everything else. I have been in corporate America most of my adult life. And what made me kind of shift I've always had an interest in health and wellness. And what made me shift was really in 2014 when I had a traumatic brain and spinal cord injury. And I learned a lot through the healing process. And what I learned really primarily in those early stages was, I had no stimulation at all, no light, no sound, no music, no phone. And I was new here. So I didn't know a soul. It was me and my dog Buddy. So if you can imagine with such a traumatic injury, man, I learned how to ask for help fast, right? And people would say, well, God only gives you what you can handle. And I'm like, no, he gives you more. So you learn how to ask for help is what I learned. But in those early stages, people would call me to check on me and they would go like right to this anger mode of, oh my God, you'll never run again. You're never going to ride a bike again. Oh my God, aren't you mad? Oh, this is horrible. And when I heard that, or if I thought of my medical bills, which were like 20 or 25,000 in the first month, if I let myself go to like, oh my God, I'm going to be bankrupt or potentially, or listen to these people get so mad, I literally felt my brain swell in my head. I got the eye pain and this, what they call fanning and nausea and dizziness. And I was re-traumatizing myself. And I realized, well, when I think these bad things or let this stress in my field, I feel really awful. But when I can think of nothing or something like a puppy or the ocean, I feel really good. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I don't have to wait for something bad to happen. I can just think of good thoughts. I could pick. I get to select. We all get to choose what we want to think about in any given moment. Anyway, this sent me down this journey of really intuitively developing tools for my own healing, focusing on this first in order to heal my body, which at the time I didn't even have any clue how severe the injury was, because the extent of the injury itself was keeping me from registering the extent of the injury, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just, then it just started to feel good to just be in this state of appreciation. And so I stayed there. And then I just started developing practices and strategies for being in appreciation and being curious and learning. I had this vision of who I wanted to be. And it wasn't this unhealthy, messed up person, traumatized. It was this healthier vision. And I had this vision and I kept working. Anyway, 2 years into this process, I actually learned that there was science behind why what I was doing for myself was working.
Right.
And in fact, my boss at the time one day sat me down for one-on-one. I really thought he was going to fire me. And he said, what is going on? I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean what's going on? He's like, you're just so happy out lately. And I'm like, yeah, I am. He's like, and you're just so productive.
Wow.
And yeah, and he's like, what are you doing? Because I want to do that. He's like, I don't get it. Like there's chaos and we're pre-merger and morale's like through the floor. What are you doing? Are you, and I realized that the same strategies that I was learning for my own healing were actually the same strategies that were making me more productive and in making me more blissful in all these aspects of my life. And I learned that, you know what? I wasn't really, it wasn't that my job was so crappy before. I like, cause I was so stressed out pre-injury. I was so stressed out about work. It wasn't that the work was so awful. It was the story I was telling myself about the work.
Right.
So a lot of the things that like I focus on as a coach is a lot with the mind. Cause it plays tricks on us. Right. But when I did learn the science, I just knew that I had to write a book, and I knew that if I was feeling this good, everybody could feel this good. And you don't have to get whacked in the head with an 80-pound blunt force, object. But this is in my book, Altered on Impact. And it's just the story of the injury and then the healing through with lots of practical exercises. So that's kind of who I am in my story. And it's more than the mind. I mean, health coaching, there's so many forms of nourishment other than what we ingest, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love two things about just like your even intro of who you are. One, I love that you said that, all right, three things. One, you said it's a choice, right? Because a lot of people, when it comes to the thoughts that leads into anxiety and depression, they feel like their thoughts, they can't make the choice to choose the attention that they're focusing on, right? Like they get on that thought. So I love that you said it's a choice, and figuring out like you have to, one, like acknowledge, hey, I'm thinking these things. How can I make that change? Two, something more positive. And before the call, I was like commenting on like your starfish back there, and you were like, I like to make it feel like at the beach, because the beach is probably a happy place for you. So, right, if you're putting things that reminds you of a happy place, so that would be like a practical tip. So I like that you're even saying, hey, there are really practical tips to be able to do these things, which sometimes that's what we have to realize. It doesn't just happen. Like you have to practice and get into the habit to do that. And the third thing I loved about this is that you were working on yourself, and in that aspect, other people noticed, right?
Yeah.
And so like, it wasn't you going and telling everyone, oh my gosh, I'm doing all this stuff. It's like, if you are mindful about it, you're making the choice to change, you're putting in practice to make the things that are happening more positive. Nothing changed. It was just your mindset towards what you were doing. Other people notice, and other people are craving to want to live a happier, stressful life. So those are like just three things that definitely stood out. Could you give us a couple examples? I'm sure that book has a lot, and we'll link the link for people to like actually be able to go purchase that book. But what would be like maybe your top 2 or 3 practical tips of just getting that process started, of like that mindfulness of like positive thinking?
And you just alluded to one of them, but and just a side note, people who've known me pre and post injury, they're like, and now listen, this is a 80-pound, like the lat pull down machine. This was 80 pounds loaded and the whole system snapped. So if you can imagine, but people are like, that injury was the best thing that ever happened to you, right? Because you're such a better person now. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Was I awful before? Yeah.
Before. So, but anyway, but you just alluded to one of them. Observation, I think you said, and awareness is number one. And so how do we even know when, like our thoughts, there's a biological reaction to every thought we have in the body. And I'm going to get off on a little tangent here, but I will get to your point. Every time we have a thought, if you have a happy thought, your brain's going to release certain chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, vasopressin, feel good chemicals. Your body's going to have a corresponding feeling, good feeling and emotion. And then a signal goes back to the brain like, hey, everything's cool. And the brain's like, awesome, homeostasis. But when we have negative thinking, which how can we not, especially in this era where we're like the CVNN, the coronavirus news network is like 24/7, you're going to die. So you need this pill, but if you take this pill, you might die too. So, it's just like total signaling to our brain. But so there's different kind of like cortisol, adrenaline gets pumped into the body, and then you get a bad feeling and emotion, and then a signal goes back to the brain, and the brain's like, oh no, anxiety, more chemicals. It's this redundant feedback loop that we don't want. And But anyway, so sometimes we get in that stress because that creates stress in the body, and we don't even realize, we don't understand, like, why are we all of a sudden feeling this thing in our chest and our throat? And why am I like paralyzed? I can't get this project done at work because there's something going on that we are not aware of. So I've got two ways that really helped me. Simple. And the thing is, everything in my book is so darn simple. Like, you wouldn't believe it. So simple. And if I can do this, anyone can. Um, so one is somatic responses. So when your body, somatic meaning your body is signaling, you have a sensation in your body. A lot of people have it in their throat or their chest or their stomach, or you know, like,
Yep.
if you're sitting, just like notice sometimes when you're sitting, say to yourself, put my shoulders down. And then you'll be like, you'll be amazed at like how often we're like
Yep.
this,
Yep.
because we carry so much tension up here. And I remember one time, this was years ago, and I was having like this, I don't know what was happening with my hands, but they were feeling all funny. And I decided, I'm going to put the phone down. I'm going to go to the beach for 3 days. I'm going to put the phone down. And it all went away because I was so stressed up here that I had inflammation, I had tension in the C-spine. It was signaling down. So anyway, so somatic responses, number one, pay attention. When you have tension, pay attention and ask yourself, what have I been watching on the news? What was I just thinking? What is going on that's creating, because your body is the best indicator that something's off. And then two, meditation. And that means different things to different people, but really, and I know some people have said to me, but I can't meditate. I don't meditate. I've never meditated. It doesn't work for me. And so I say, close your eyes, take a breath, and we take 3 breaths together. I'm like, you just meditated.
Right. Right. It doesn't have to be this long
Yeah, just
process.
coming back to the breath. And then when you do that, you'll know, and just shutting things down, when you close your eyes, you're sending a signal to the brain that you're safe. If
Yeah.
you put your hand on your heart, there's other signals that are going on, but it's calming the central nervous system. It's getting the blood pressure down, but you'll notice your thoughts coming through. And sometimes, I've had thoughts like that were bizarre thoughts. Like when I was after my injury, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm terrified to go out in public, because what if I like just start like taking my shirt off or I pee in public? I had these thoughts like, I think I'm going to do something. But then I had to realize, okay, that's just a thought. And then you let it go.
Yeah.
So is that helpful?
Yeah. No, that's really, really great. I like that even the piece of like meditating could be just closing your eyes and taking three, deep breaths of just like turning everything off. Because I do think like we sometimes using the word meditate means like what you were saying so much. But the sense of like, it is crazy. I just need to like refocus myself. And the best way to do that is just to calm my body down, and doing those deep breaths helps. So I like that a lot. Okay, so obviously with clean juice, we're all about like the products that were put into your body. Have you found like through all of your research, there is a correlation to what you're putting into your body and how it stimulates what you're thinking about your body or about yourself, or positive thoughts that is correlated to like the food that you're eating?
Yeah, and definitely. And it's all interconnected, and it's all interconnected. So we want to reduce stress, right? Want to reduce oxidative stress. And when you're eating certain foods are going to create stress in the body and trigger different neurotransmitters. So processed foods, sugars, those are bad. They definitely will impact how the brain chemistry is, that whole brain chemistry. And not only that, if when we eat clean foods, it's healthier for our gut. There's a big gut brain connection there. So you really want to, I've noticed too, and beyond what I know as a health coach and beyond what
Yeah.
research has shown, someone once asked me in a podcast, well, does it bother you that you wrote this book and you're not an expert? And I'm like, Well, no, I am an expert in my experience.
Yeah.
And so what, you and I have talked about that, like we are all experts in our own experience. So it's all a matter of doing what is best for you, because what's best for me isn't going to be what's best for you. But yes, eating whole foods, eating more leafy greens, is going to give you more mental clarity. When you have more mental clarity and energy, you're just going to feel better. And when you're feeling better, you're going to have better thinking. But if you're eating foods that are, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
just, it's also, so it doesn't really even matter what research is out there. I think if you just eat more organic foods, eat more, and people have this misnomer about, well, it's expensive to eat organically. You'd have to eat 4 or 5 times as much inorganic food to get the same nutrients as in organic food.
Well, and I think with that too, like even thinking down the road, like what might be cheaper now if you're not getting the nutrients that your body needs and you're starting to create really like bad habit. Like I don't eat perfect. I'm not going to
Nobody
pretend
does.
that I am. But what I have found is that like the kind of like the 80-20 rule, I feel like I try to apply to everything in my life. And so I
Yeah.
know 80% of the day, 80% of the week, like I am blessed to work at a place where it's surrounded me. So like I have
Yeah.
the opportunity to make sure that I'm getting that, especially through juicing.
Yeah.
And I've seen a big difference just in my digestive tract alone.
Yeah.
Um, which again, like when I don't feel good here, like thoughts go here, and then I'm not doing anything that is healthier for my body. Um, but I know a lot of times when I got it on my side little track as well. But what I was gonna say, over years, if you're creating those patterns, somewhere down the road, you are gonna have like the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, and all that stuff, and then you're getting on medication, and the
Yeah.
medication over time is going to be more money than what it cost in my mindset. I feel like than it would be
Yeah.
just to spend a couple extra dollars here putting the right stuff in your body, especially when you think you're eating healthy and then there's something that's sprayed with pesticides. I think that's the hardest thing. Like you have so many people who are trying to eat healthy and buy the vegetables, and then they're not seeing results that they feel like they should. And it's because, well, there's so much pesticide and chemicals that are like sprayed all over their products, and
Yeah.
that's going into their bloodstream and all kinds of stuff.
Accents.
Um, so I think that is where, and most people, I feel like when they understand that, like they can see the value of
Yeah.
making sure that they're finding it. And I feel like it's becoming more plentiful in a lot of different stores and
Yeah.
becoming a little bit more affordable in a lot of places. But when I'm talking to people about doing a juice cleanse
Mm-hmm.
that's never done it, like my big thing is it's mental. Like getting your body to realize that like you are getting the nutrition that you need, but
Yeah.
you've got to get out of that mindset that I'm not chewing, because a lot of times
Yeah.
people think of food as a experience and an activity where food is meant to be fuel for your body.
Well,
Um,
you just said two things that were going on in my head: fuel and chew.
yeah,
So I mean, we take better care of our cars than we do ourselves.
yeah,
I mean, our car, if we don't give it fuel, if we don't keep it, well maintained, it's going to crash and burn. And so it's the same with the human body. And chew. I'm so glad you said that. There's a saying that says, chew your water, drink your food. Most people don't even chew their food, but you know what? Your stomach doesn't have teeth. And
yeah,
the digestion process starts when you chew. And um, sometimes like I'll force myself, because I'm included in that. I don't eat perfect all the time. I don't even know a health coach that really does out there. Most of us are well, all of us are human beings. And we do try to follow that 80-20 rule. And so what we do is we try to like crowd out. So if you've got, and even do like restaging of people's refrigerators and pantries. So you've got all the good stuff on that top shelf and all that junk in those drawers below. But chewing your food, I mean, that goes a long way. And
yeah,
it's just be cognizant, like watch yourself some days. But yeah, but it's great. You clean juice, it goes down, it's bioavailable and it's organic, and
yeah.
it just feels good when you drink it.
Right. And I feel like I can definitely fast pace like working at the juice bar. Like I don't really typically, unless I'm leaving the store for a lunch break, most of the time I am getting the juice because I'm on the go. And I found that I actually have been getting more nutrients, obviously, while I'm juicing. Because a lot of times if I get so busy, I just wouldn't eat. Like I don't have time to eat, so I won't eat. But if I'm juicing, I can like drink it really quickly and on to the
Yeah.
next thing. So that's been like super helpful.
And it's real fresh at Clean Juice too. It's,
I know
it's,
where the products come from,
yeah.
especially this season. Sometimes we're not getting everything within the time that we need to. So I've been going to all the grocery stores. So very thankful. Sometimes I have to go to 3 or 4 to get all of the organic aspects, but super grateful that we have a lot of options near me. Um,
Yeah.
awesome. So we have about 9 minutes, and I know like we've just kind of touched the surface of a lot of these different topics. So definitely I'm going to encourage people. I know you're about to talk about something that other people can probably jump on to hear more in depth. But then we'll also link in there just a little bit more about you. So if people are looking for a health coach or want to know more information on a certain topic, they'll be able to jump in on that as well. But kind of walk us through this event that's coming up that doesn't only have you, but all these great experts in the field.
Gosh, so exciting. So excited. And this goes, I do coaching for individuals too, and I also do corporate events too. And this upcoming summit is for all of them. So stress is really, we get stressed in so many different forms. And right now are stressed out beyond belief. I do a lot of work with stress, and I do a lot with autoimmune disease.
Okay.
And a business partner of mine and I were talking a few months back, and we were like, well, what if we did something on immunity? This was before Corona, because stress shuts down the immune system. Fear shuts down the immune system, right? And we got to talking, and I kind of floated this idea out to a couple of people in the medical community, and they were like, oh, I really like that. And so we started to talk to a couple potential speakers and try to kind of conceptualize what the summit would look like. And then, boom, Corona hit. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to get this out, because the fear, like there's no greater virus than fear.
Right.
And the collateral damage from the virus is so far worse, and it's creating even more compromised immune systems.
Right.
I think one of the things we're seeing and learning is that our immune systems are way more compromised than we even imagined. So we created this Immunity Blueprints Summit, and blueprints is plural, because it's everybody has a different blueprint,
Right.
and
Yep.
what I'm going to do for my immunity isn't necessarily what you're going to do. And there are so many approaches to boosting um, and supporting and balancing immunity that maybe people aren't even aware of. So we look at this at immunity through a variety of lenses. So as an example, we've got a guy that's going to talk about the history of immunology all the way back to like 500 BCE, which is not before Corona era. It's just a long time ago, all the way to current day. He talks about the intricacies of the immune system. We talked to someone about epigenetics, which is gene expression, and how to influence, like maybe you got something in your genes. It doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Right.
And how do you influence that? Through food is one way, right? Eating whole organic foods and certain spices and etc. Genomic medicine, you can look at your genes and know what nutrition is best for your own blueprint. Adaptogens, the plants have amazing intelligence and almost miraculous properties in healing our immune systems. We've got a functional medicine doctor that talks about immunity from their perspective, a holistic psychiatrist, which I never even had heard of. We've got someone talking about lithotherapy. I didn't even know what that was, but it's how crystals actually have properties. We talk about meditation and breath work. I've got a guy coming on, and he talks about the biology of thought, the biology of belief, how that impacts immunity. Wireless technology and how to use technology safely, and how 5G and EMF and all that impacts our cells and replicates viruses and impacts on how to use that safely, because we don't want to get rid of technology. We
Right.
just understand. Oh my God, there's so many. So we've got all these different perspectives. And so we really wanted to get that out quickly, because when Corona hit, we thought, whoa, this is so timely, and we'll probably do more than one of these. I've got another one coming up on stress a few months down the line. But next Wednesday, the 13th, is when, so this is a free summit to anybody.
Wow.
So you can listen. It's going to be, I think, 12 days of speakers.
Awesome.
And then we offer at the end, or we actually will pre-sell it at a good discount, the all access pass, which is you get all of these speaker videos for free so that you can go back to them time and time again. And you're going to want to, because they're so loaded with information. And then you'll also get like tons of free materials that the speakers are contributing, and discounts on their packages, and etc. And then there's going to be a live Q&A with all the speakers about a week after it ends. Yeah, you get direct access. These are like highly credentialed experts from across U.S. and Canada. So I'm so excited. So it's going to help millions of people.
I love it. If you like, again, there's like, you just hit like everyone's expert at their own bodies. So like there's not one fit all for, to get healthy, like whole body healthy, right? So it's not just one aspect, but it's literally combining all the different things. But if you had to give like one advice as like that first step for people of becoming like a healthier human being, the whole body healthier human being, what would be your like one advice for that?
So from my point of view, starting here first, is don't make it so big.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just make it so big, and treat your mind like you know how we all talk about a healthy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You need a healthy mind style, and so don't make it so big, and just start small, because you'd be amazed, if you just add in some, and people are kind of overkill, but add in some Brussels sprouts. If you have to have a little bacon, at least have the Brussels sprouts. Just start small, and don't make it so big, because you can do it. Anyone, this is so, I mean, it's bizarre to me that like science doesn't need to come up with a way to eat healthy.
Right.
We know this. We all know this. So if we're not doing it, it's because something's holding us back up here. And
Yeah.
it's not as hard as we think.
Yeah. I love that. And I think what makes it so hard is we play the comparison game, right?
Yes, compare and
Like,
despair.
like, oh my gosh, this person's doing this plan and she's lost all this weight or she's gained all this muscle. And so like you think if I do that, then I'm gonna get that. But it's like, man, everybody type is different. And as long as you're taking one step every single day to becoming a healthier version of yourself, you're winning,
Well, listen, the buds on the tree in the spring, they don't come out and say, oh my God, am I pink enough? Am I going fast enough? Do I look like the other buds?
Yeah.
Stop it. If I had played that game after my injury, I never would have healed.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Good advice. Yeah.
Just say no to the comparison game.
Yeah.
Well, Lynn, I am so excited to be able to, post this so people can watch this. And so thank you so much for being on. And I know that we'll continue to probably pick certain topics that we can break down. Again, I just kind of wanted people to hear like an intro of who you are and just how you have been studying in so many different venues across the last several years that you've been invested in this. And I love how you always seem to weave everything in of like, it's all important, right? So I love that. So I'm going to go ahead and end this right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.